General Motors is recalling nearly 600,000 vehicles due to a risk of engine failure.
The recall applies to certain Cadillac, Chevrolet, and GMC brands with model years between 2021 and 2024. Dealers have already begun notifying drivers last week, with owner letters set to be mailed on June 9th.
Imagine paying six figures for the ultimate American dream car, the one you worked your whole life for. Now picture that gleaming machine parked with a sticker screaming, "Unsafe." This isn't a sci-fi plot. It's the nightmare currently facing loyal customers of General Motors. Chevy's $100,000 dream car is sidelined, and it's not a small glitch, but a fundamental design failure so egregious it could cause the car to ignite while you're simply fueling up. The cascading disaster applies to nearly 600,000 vehicles, from Corvettes to Silverados, and the whole saga begs the same terrifying question. How did the pride of American engineering turn into a fire hazard? Why did dealers have to freeze sales overnight? And what does this colossal betrayal mean for your wallet as resale values sink? The stop sale order slammed into dealerships like a sledgehammer. Imagine walking onto a Chevy lot, seeing the powerful Z06, the kind of performance only supercars deliver, only to spot that dreaded "not for sale" sticker. The reason? This American masterpiece could ignite while you're pumping gas. Cars were parked overnight, money was frozen, and loyal fans were left feeling embarrassed and furious. This is far more than a mere inconvenience. It's a fundamental betrayal. People spend over $100,000 expecting not just speed, but absolute safety. And what Chevy gave them was a potential bonfire on wheels. Owners started posting photos on forums showing flames engulfing machines they had saved up their entire lives to afford. These aren't just statistics, they are burned dreams, and the loss of faith is stamped right in the metal. When customers shell out six figures, they aren't paying for recalls. They are paying for peace of mind, and Chevy ripped that away. Owners didn't just lose access to a car, they lost faith in a long-held dream. But this humiliation was only the warm-up act. The real bombshell was found under the hood of their most popular family-focused trucks. We paid top dollar for American muscle, and Chevy gave us ticking time bombs. That's exactly how hundreds of thousands of Silverado and Tahoe owners feel after the massive recall of their V8 engines. These were supposed to be the heart and soul of the lineup, the very thing people trust to tow their trailers, carry their families, and uphold the legacy of Detroit toughness. Instead, connecting rods and crankshafts inside these massive engines were defective, creating the risk of sudden, catastrophic failure. One second you're cruising down the highway, the next you're coasting to the shoulder with a dead truck. Buyers dropped $60,000 or $70,000 on machines marketed as bulletproof, signing long loans and trusting the brand their parents once swore by. And what was the result? Letters in the mail warning that the engine might fail at any minute. The insult here is staggering. It's not just about mechanics. It's about pride. For decades, people bought Chevy to prove they believed in American quality. Now, instead of bragging at the job site, they are apologizing for why their expensive truck is back in the shop. Every Chevy loyalist who once defended the brand against critics now has to face the truth. Their beloved engines were not dependable. They were defective liabilities, but not all the explosions were under the hood. The next disaster was fought in the cold, unforgiving light of the courtroom. Imagine paying $50,000 for a new truck that drives like a clunker, lurching and jerking at every gear change. That's exactly what happened to tens of thousands of Chevy and GMC owners stuck with the infamous 8-speed transmission. Instead of smooth, consistent power, drivers got violent shuddering, especially when merging onto busy highways. Families described it as terrifying. Mechanics quickly called it a flawed design from the start, yet Chevy sold it anyway. The outrage grew until class action lawsuits exploded, turning the case into a symbol of a company that chose to fight its own loyal customers instead of fixing its cars. Chevy's courtroom defense, delaying and trying to decertify parts of the case, only poured salt into the wound. Their message to the average owner was crystal clear. Corporate lawyers were more important than customer loyalty. Every time that transmission violently jerked, it reminded drivers that Chevy knew about the problem, yet chose profit over responsibility. Word spread across forums. Expect to fight not just the transmission, but the company itself. You'd think a multi-billion-dollar company would have fixed a jerking transmission, But they ignored the issue until their crown jewel went up in smoke, quite literally. You should never have to fear your car catching fire at a gas station. Yet, that's exactly what Corvette owners faced when it was revealed that spilled fuel could be sucked into a side fan, atomized, and then violently blown onto hot components in the engine bay. The result? Flames bursting out while the car is sitting at the pump. Imagine standing there with the nozzle in your hand, watching your $100,000 dream machine ignite in front of you. That is not luxury. That is a genuine nightmare scenario. Chevy's engineering mistake turned the mundane, everyday act of refueling into a potential life-or-death gamble. Forums filled with horror stories, cars torched in minutes, owners barely escaping, and dealers powerless to sell their brand new stock. For many, that was the final straw. You can easily forgive a squeaky seat or a software bug, but you absolutely cannot forgive a car that threatens your safety every single time you top off the tank. The Corvette was supposed to be the crown jewel, the proof that Chevy still stood tall. Now it's the poster child for negligence. But the truth is, these weren't random accidents. They were the inevitable, predictable result of a leadership team that chose reckless speed over fundamental safety. This was not simply bad luck. This was a pattern of bad leadership. Chevy's problems are not isolated incidents. They are the direct result of executives pushing cars out the door faster than their own systems could handle. Every shortcut taken in the boardroom eventually landed directly on the shoulders of the customers. When the Corvette Z06 was rushed to market, when V8 engines were shipped before testing was finished, and when transmissions were approved despite known flaws, these were not accidents. They were deliberate choices made when leadership prioritized quarterly earnings over long-term trust. Insiders have admitted that pressure from the top forced them to ignore critical warning signs. Instead of slowing down, leadership doubled down, believing customers would never notice or would simply accept repairs later. That gamble spectacularly failed. Leadership risked the brand's reputation, and we, the paying buyers, lost. Chevy forgot that rushing a product is not innovation. It is pure negligence disguised as progress. And when leaders chase Wall Street's approval instead of customer trust, the outcome is inevitable. As that trust completely vaporized, so did their stock, proving that Wall Street only cares about one thing: the pain of a massive recall. Nothing spooks investors like parking lots full of unsellable cars. Chevy's stop sales and endless recalls mean thousands of vehicles are stuck, waiting for fixes instead of bringing in cash flow. Each parked car represents not only lost revenue, but mounting costs, including warranty expenses and the massive rebates needed just to move inventory. Investors see those balance sheets and immediately panic. Analysts are calculating billions in potential losses. Suddenly, what looked like a powerhouse of American manufacturing looks like a shaky, unreliable bet. For the company, massive discounts of $7,000 or $8,000 plastered on trucks are not deals. They are a sign of outright desperation, a desperate bribe to pull customers back into showrooms after scandal upon scandal scared them away. They are being forced to slash prices to move stock, which sends a dangerous market-breaking message. Sticker prices are meaningless. Chevy has essentially trained its own audience to distrust the number on the window, and every markdown is a direct signpost of collapse. That collapse is terrifying investors, but it lands squarely in the driveways of us, the buyers, who are now left holding the keys or choosing to walk away. At the end of the day, Chevy's entire crisis lands in the driveways of ordinary people. Buyers now face a crucial crossroads: trust the brand to fix its mistakes, or switch to rivals like Ford, Ram, or Toyota. Some may wait for bargains, hoping Chevy slashes prices further, while others will refuse to risk their family's safety, no matter how large the discount. Either way, the scandal has fundamentally changed how we shop. No longer is Chevy seen as the automatic, reliable choice for American quality. It is now viewed as a gamble. Consumers are not blind. They talk to each other at work, online, and in dealerships, sharing real horror stories of engines failing, transmissions violently jerking, and cars catching fire. That collective memory shapes future sales far more than any polished ad campaign ever could. Chevy can issue fixes, offer coupons, and push incentives, but it cannot erase the feeling of betrayal. Once a customer loses faith, it is nearly impossible to win them back. The real shutdown is not just in the factories. It is in the minds of consumers deciding what brand they want in their driveway next. Chevy's crisis is our wake-up call. The cars we drive, the money we spend, and the trust we place in these giant corporations are all on the line. Stay sharp, stay questioning, and remember what just happened with Chevy could happen anywhere to anyone.